Hey guys, Chris here from Sega Nerds and Megavisions, back again with another video for my Chris Collects Dreamcast challenge. And first off, I apologize for the bright light and fan going on above me. I'm recording this Sunday night, and unfortunately my lamp ended up burning out on me today, so I have to use this my bedroom light to be able to light myself today. So sorry about the lighting situation. This week was actually really good. I'm really excited on what I ended up picking up this week, and I can't wait to show you everything that I ended up getting. So my first stop this week was the Columbus Farmers Market. I went there on Friday. My kids were out of school, so I ended up taking the day off, and I spent the day with them, and I thought it would be a perfect opportunity to do some Dreamcast hunting. The Columbus Farmers Market, it's not too far away from me, actually. I've been there before, but I didn't realize at the time that it was an outdoor flea market, but they also have a bunch of indoor stores as well. Someone alerted it to me on Twitter about a week or so ago, and I decided to go check it out myself. We ended up just walking through all the stores. Some of them were closed. It was Good Friday, so it was a little weird as far as their hours of operation and that sort of thing. But as we were walking through, we saw that there was an arcade there, and it was actually pretty neat. It was rather small. It was just kind of tucked off in the corner. It was kind of unassuming. If you wouldn't pay any attention to it, you might just walk right past it. But going through there, they had a House of the Dead cabinet. They had Crazy Taxi. They had a Miss Pac-Man and Galaga cabinet. There was also a Target Terror and a couple of cruising cabinets as well, Exotica and a different one. It was pretty neat. It was just one of those things that you only really see at flea markets, you know. And in fact, I haven't really seen a whole lot of arcades at flea markets in my time. It reminded me a lot of some of the flea markets I used to go to in Texas. I grew up going to Trader's Village a lot as a kid. My parents would take us out there a couple times a year, and it was always a lot of fun. Then in San Antonio, we'd go to Bussey's Flea Market and a couple of the other ones. There was always something crazy to find there. It was always a lot of fun. Not a whole lot of video game stuff necessarily. A lot of picked over stuff, sports games, common stuff. Mostly junk, I guess. But the Columbus Flea Market, or the Columbus Farmers Market, was pretty cool. As we finally, made our way through, we finally found the video game store that someone was telling me about. It's called Video Nuts, and they have a ton of stuff. And actually, it was one of the best retro game stores that I've gone to in New Jersey so far, as far as the selection of games goes. They just had a ton of stuff. The prices were kind of all over the place. Most of the common and uncommon stuff was fairly reasonably priced, but once you got going to some of the more expensive games, they were pretty expensive, and it was definitely, I think that you could probably find better deals elsewhere. Before I get into what I got, I do want to talk a little bit about some of the things I had or I saw there. It was funny because right when I was walking in, there was a guy that came in with a big bag of stuff. I was looking around and didn't really pay him a lot of attention until he brought out a console from his grocery bag, and it was a Sega Saturn. And I just kind of looked a little bit about it. It was really dirty and kind of gross looking, so I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to it after that. But come to find out, he traded in a complete copy of Radiant Silvergun, which the clerk told me afterwards that they were going to price it about $200. So I don't know how much he ended up getting for whatever it is that he traded in or sold, but I'm sure he probably could have got a lot more for it if he just went on eBay and sold it online somewhere. I wish I would have found out before he went in, and I could have offered some cash right on the spot and gave him a little bit more money than he probably got there. But outside of that, just looking through the games, there was a complete copy of Shenmue 2 on the Dreamcast. That was $130. I can't imagine that it's still going for that much nowadays. I know once Shenmue 3 was announced, it seemed like all the Shenmue games like jumped in price quite considerably, but 130 for Shenmue 2 is still a lot in my mind. There was also Resident Evil 3 Nemesis on the Dreamcast for 35. They had a disc-only copy of Giga Wing 2 for 50 bucks. And I'm sorry, but there's no way I'm paying 50 bucks for a disc-only Dreamcast game. I don't care what game it is. There's no way I'm going to do that. If I'm going to pay that kind of money, I would rather pay more to get a complete copy. That's just how I am. I know I might be crazy, but that's just... I feel like I'm only getting part of the product, even though it's the actual game. But I can't bring myself to spend that kind of money on a disc-only game. They also had Final Fight CD on the Sega CD for 130 bucks. And I'm sure this game goes for a lot of money. It's one of those games, I've never played it. I've always wanted to play Final Fight CD, but not going to pay that much money for it. I'm sorry. They also had a stall for $70, and that was another game that I've really been wanting to pick up over the years. And if it wasn't for this Dreamcast challenge, I might end up trying to haggle with them to see if I could get it for a more reasonable price. But 70 bucks is a little pricey, I think. One game that I did see that I would have bought if I wasn't collecting for the Dreamcast was the Scooby-Doo Mystery. I don't think it's an uncommon game or anything like that. They had it for 30 bucks complete, but I just love that game. It's a point-and-click puzzle mystery game, and I just remember having a lot of fun with my friend growing up playing that game. This was before the days of cheat codes like Game Sages, Game Facts, all that sort of thing, and so it was really up to us to get through the game, and that was a lot of fun. I think it's a lot more fun just having to use your own trial and error and wits rather than just knowing that the answer is just a couple button presses on your phone away from doing that. So Scooby-Doo Mystery is a really good game. I really enjoy that game. So let's get to some of the games that I did get. Picked up Test Drive 6 for $5.99. Haven't played that before, but man, it seems like the Dreamcast has a ton of racing games. As much of as it's known for its sports titles and some of its RPGs, it has a lot of really good racing games on it as well. I've never played Test Drive 6, but I'm looking forward to see how well it kind of holds up against some of the bigger and well-known racing games on the Dreamcast. Next up is Spec Ops 2 Omega Squad. Got that for $5.99. Let's see here. And I've not played this game before. I'm not too sure how good it is. I can't imagine it's an amazing game. I haven't heard too much about it over the years, but yeah, I'm interested in seeing how that holds up. I got WWF Attitude for $4.99. I have a semi-complete copy of this. I bought it a few years ago when we were doing a wrestling special for the Dreamcast leading up to WrestleMania, and it was a pretty good game back then from what I remember. But it's a WWF game. So next up is Fighting Force 2 for $7.99. Not played this one before. I know that it got some pretty bad reviews. Not a lot of people enjoyed this one. I think it has some pretty poor control and that sort of thing. But it's kind of crazy. It's only one player. You'd think a game like that might support two players, but not this one. And lastly, I picked up Bang Gunship Elite for $15. Never played this one either. But what was kind of interesting was that there was two copies of this on the shelf. One was $15, which is the one I got. The other one was $25. And that's one of the things that you guys should be on the lookout for is different pricing on the same game. I've been noticing that it's kind of a trend in some of these retro stores. So when you kind of spot that, always make sure to ask the clerk to give you the cheaper game. Obviously you don't want to alert them that there is a mix-up between the prices, because then they may have to look into it further, and especially if it's something that you're going to get a really good deal on. Tell them you want the cheaper game. Point that one out first before they can kind of spot the mix-up. So overall, I thought Video Nuts was actually a pretty good store. They had a huge selection of games, lots of peripherals, lots of systems. I was hoping that they might have a Sega Sports Dreamcast in stock because that's one of the ones I'm looking to pick up along my way. Unfortunately, they didn't, but I'm definitely going to be hitting them up again. Columbus Farmers Market, if you're in the South Jersey area, definitely go check them out. I'm looking forward to seeing when they open up the outdoor market here in the next few weeks or month or so once it starts warming up more. I'm definitely going to go back and try to round out my Dreamcast collection that way. So after leaving the farmer's market, I had a couple more hours left in my day, so I decided to go out to Powered by Games in Lanoka Harbor, Maryland. It's all the way on the East Coast, and it was about an hour or so drive. It was pretty crazy, but I've been following them on Facebook for a while, and they seem to have a huge stock of games. It's one of those that it's been on kind of my wish list to make it out there. So I ended up making the drive, and I was definitely rewarded. They had a ton of Dreamcast games. You'll see in the photos along. There were just so many Dreamcast games there. I ended up, picking out probably about 20 or 25 games that I really wanted to get, but I pared down my list to a handful that I could afford at the time. I really wish I could have got more, but I ended up just deciding that, okay, these are the games that I really, really want today, but I'll be coming back for more later. So I'll go through those games now. The first game up is Frogger 2. I got it for $10. I want to say that I had this game in the past, and I can't remember what it's like, but I'm looking forward to this. It's a co-op game. It supports up to 4 players. I'm looking forward to playing this with my kids for sure. Next up is Blue Stinger. Got this for 15 bucks. Blue Stinger is one of my favorite guilty pleasure Dreamcast games. I got it soon after it was released, and I had a lot of fun with it. I love the soundtrack in the game, especially the Christmas music. I think it's awesome. The voice acting is bad, but it's bad. It's so bad that it's kind of great. You know what I mean? Playing these early like Dreamcast and PS2 games. It's just so much fun. I really like that game. It's definitely one that I'm really happy to get back in my collection. I've owned it probably about 4 or 5 times now, and it's crazy. I've said it before, but there's all these games that I thought I owned, but going through my collection again, I realized that I don't know what happened to them. Blue Stinger is one of those games. I thought I owned it, but I guess I don't. But now I do again. I think about a week ago I picked up Speed Racers. Maybe it was the last week before that, but I got Speed Racers Online for 10 bucks. And I never played the online one back in the day. And I don't think this one's online yet. I know Shuoma is working on bringing a bunch of more Dreamcast games online this year. I don't know if this is on his list or if I don't think it's been online again, but this would be an interesting one to check out if it ever does come back online again. Next up is House of the Dead 2. I got it for 15 bucks. I much prefer Typing of the Dead to House of the Dead 2, especially for the fact that I can't use the light gun these days because you have all like LCD TVs. But if I ever get a CRT TV again, I'm definitely going to pop this in my Dreamcast and use my light gun to play this game, because this is the only way to play these light gun games like House of the Dead 2. So I'm looking forward to the day where I can finally do that again. Next up is Urban Chaos. I got that for $30. This was one of the more expensive Dreamcast games they had there. I don't know a whole lot about Urban Chaos, to be honest with you. I looked up the price on pricecharting.com, and it seemed like it was actually a pretty good deal for this game. I think it went, the average was about $40 to $50 for a complete copy, which it seems crazy to me. But I'm looking forward to checking this one out for sure. Like I said, I never played this back in the day. It's one of those that just always kind of flew under the radar for me. So I'm looking forward to checking it out. It's going to be interesting to see if it's any good or not. And lastly, I got a game that I've been wanting to get for a very, very long time. I've never actually owned this game on the Dreamcast, but it's one of those that's probably in my top 3 of Dreamcast games that I've always wanted to get, and that's Gauntlet Legends. I got it for 25 bucks complete, which I think is actually a pretty good deal because I've seen it go for a lot more than that at different game conventions. And I played it a lot in the arcades back in the day, and I have played the Dreamcast version, and I just really, really love this game. I love the whole Gauntlet series. I grew up playing the original Gauntlet in the arcades, and it's just great to finally have this game. I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to force my kids to sit down with me and play this game. I think they'll enjoy it, but I'm super excited about Gauntlet Legends. And finally, I got Confidential Mission. It came in the mail. I bought that off eBay last week. That was kind of a spur-of-the-moment thing when I went to another store and they had that with a light gun for $50. I ended up picking it up for like $23 or $24. So I got that in. That's now in my collection. So I'm happy to have that. So in all, I was able to pick up about 12 games this week to add to my Dreamcast collection. I think that's a pretty good week. It almost rivals my first week in this. So I'm actually doing pretty good in this so far. I think I'm still well ahead of the pace to be able to finish this collection in under a year. I definitely really excited. I was hoping to go out to a smaller game convention called the South Jersey Geek Fest this weekend, but I just didn't have enough time. Saturday, I spent all my time out in Philadelphia. I was hoping to be able to get back a little sooner, and then today, Sunday, is Easter, so we had to do the Easter thing, which is fine. But there's several more conventions coming up in the next few months. Too Many Games outside of Philly in Oaks, Pennsylvania is going to be coming up in June, and that's going to be one where I hope to pick up a lot of games. I'm really looking forward to that. That's one of my favorite conventions outside of MagFest, so I'm really, really looking forward to that. So that's going to wrap up this week in my Dreamcast collection. So thank you for sticking around.